bayan ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Hayang magiging sa sinamanan, hayang ng puso sa dinig ko'y buhay. Upang binigaw, wala ng pag-ibig sa magtutubig. Ito kasi sigil sa nakakatulong sa simulan. Sa langit ko pagaw, ay nilatang tulakaw sa pagkayang ginawaan. Pag-isang lang magawal ko'y ay nanagiging. Ang ituloy na parang niya kailan ang kanyang magiging. Lumatang araw ka, wala magsimula, ay nangit sa piling mo. Ang bigaya dapat ay magamit, ang mamatay ng kahit sa'yo. Simula ko hanggang ngayon, isang naging layo. Magkaisa ang magulong, nagiging ay magulong. Malayo mula sa unang mata, niyang sang panganin ng alam. Pinako sa puso ang paniniwala, ang ginhawa para sa katawan. Ang sango'y nagumpay, mula na bawis sugo at buhay. Kapayapaan na nabuhay, ay ating ang nakamtan. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, pagpalay mo sa mundo. Magsamo, lagi kang mamahalin. Walang pipigil sa damdamin, mga pangako'y tutuparin. Ang buhay kami sa'yo'y magpapatay, mananatili sa puso't isipan. Ang lahat ng bukid ay nanabuhis ng buhay, nasa pilang ang may kapal. Ang sango'y nagumpay, mula ng bawis sugo at buhay. Kapayapaan na nabuhay, ay ating ang nakamtan. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, pagpalay mo sa mundo. Ang administration pinagbalita ay bumalay sa may subang kasalukuyan at napapanahon. Mapapolitika, mapapino, mapakomentaryo at balita, ang programa ito'y patas sa lahat. Walang tinikilingan, walang tinatampisan, at walang tinapanigan ang programa ito. Ang programa ito ay public service sa kahanginan at trabaho lamang.
Okay, saan na yung time natin, no? Okay? Anong time natin ngayon? Okay, 50 minutos. Okay, pasado alas 6, mag-alas 7 na po sa umagang ito. Okay, 29 po ng Nobyembre 2023 ang programa natin sa kasalukuyan sa umagang ito, no? Araw ng Wednesday. Okay, mga suki natin okay sa News Online. Okay, magandang umaga. Nandito naman tayo sa Consolidated News natin. Okay, daming napasukan. Ayan. Okay, sa ADLSNTV Corporation newsroom. Okay, mga tagapakinig natin, no? Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh sa mga minority. Okay, kasama natin okay sa pagbigay ng information mga suki, no? Ayan. So, ano ang unang balita natin? Okay, kasaysayan po ng si Richard Gordon si Gordon nata ito, no? Sino ba itong okay, former Prime Minister po ng UK. Pakinggan natin ang yung sinasabi niya rito, no? Okay, yung kasaysayan po ng bansa nila, no? Okay, pakinggan natin para okay, alam din natin ang kasaysayan nila at saka kasaysayan natin, no? Okay, si Gordon ito, former Prime Minister po ng UK. Pakinggan natin. Okay.
This morning, I want to talk about the future of Europe. But first, let us remember the past.
Hindi, sorry po, no?
70 years ago,
David
Europe was
Cameron
being
po
torn
mga
apart
suki, no?
by
Hindi
its
Gordon.
second catastrophic conflict in a generation.
David
A war
Cameron,
which saw the
I'm
streets
sorry.
of European cities strewn with rubble, the skies of London lit by flames night after night, and millions dead across the world in the battle for peace and liberty. As we remember their sacrifice, so we should also remember how the shift in Europe from war to sustained peace came about. It didn't happen like a change in the weather. It happened because of determined work over generations, a commitment to friendship, and a resolve never to revisit that dark past. A commitment epitomized by the Elysee Treaty signed 50 years ago this week. After the Berlin Wall came down, I visited that city, and I will never forget it. The abandoned checkpoints, the sense of excitement about the future, the knowledge that a great continent was coming together. Healing those wounds of our history is the central story of the European Union. What Churchill described as the twin marauders of war and tyranny have almost entirely been banished from our continent. Today, hundreds of millions dwell in freedom from the Baltic to the Adriatic, from the Western approaches to the Aegean. And while we must never take this for granted, the first purpose of the European Union, to secure peace, has been achieved. And we should pay tribute to all those in the European Union, alongside NATO, who made that happen. But today, the main purpose of the European Union is different. Not to win peace, but to secure prosperity. The challenge from the surging economies of the East and the South. Now, of course, a growing world economy benefits us all, but we should be in no doubt that a new global race of nations is underway today. A race for the wealth and for the jobs of the future. The map of global influence is changing before our eyes. And these changes are already being felt by the entrepreneur in the Netherlands, the worker in Germany, the family in Britain. So I want to speak to you today with urgency and frankness about the European Union and how it must change, both to deliver prosperity and to retain the support of its peoples. But first, I want to set out the spirit in which I approach these issues. Now, I know that the United Kingdom is sometimes seen as an argumentative and rather strong-minded member of the family of European nations. And it is true that our geography has shaped our psychology. We have the character of an island nation. We are independent, forthright, passionate in defense of our sovereignty. We can no more change this British sensibility than we could drain the English Channel. And because of this sensibility, we come to the European Union with a frame of mind that is more practical than emotional. For us, the European Union is the means to an end. Prosperity, stability, the anchor of freedom and democracy both within Europe and beyond her shores, not an end in itself. We insistently ask, how, why, to what end? But this doesn't make us somehow un-European. The fact is that ours is not just an island story, it is also a continental story. For all our connections with the rest of the world, of which we are mightily proud, we have always been a European power, and we always will be. From Caesar's legions to the Napoleonic Wars, from the Reformation, the Enlightenment, and the Industrial Revolution to the defeat of Nazism, we have helped to write European history, and Europe has helped to write ours. Over the years, Britain has made her own unique contribution to Europe. We have provided a haven to those fleeing tyranny and persecution. And in Europe's darkest hour, we helped to keep the flame of liberty alight. Across the continent, in silent cemeteries, lie the hundreds of thousands of British servicemen who gave their lives for Europe's freedom. In more recent decades, we played our part in tearing down the Iron Curtain and championing the entry into the EU of those countries that lost so many of their years to communism. And contained in this history is the crucial point about Britain, about our national character, about our attitude to Europe. Britain is characterized not just by its independence, but above all by its openness. We've always been a country that reaches out, that turns its face to the world, that leads the charge in the fight for free trade and against protectionism. This is Britain today, as it's always been. Independent, yes, but open too. I never want us to pull up the drawbridge and retreat from the world. I am not a British isolationist, but I do want a better deal for Britain. But not just a better deal for Britain, I want a better deal for Europe too. So I speak as a British Prime Minister with a positive vision for the future of the European Union. A future in which Britain wants and should want to play a committed and active part. Now, some might then ask, why raise fundamental questions about the future of Europe when Europe is already in the midst of a deep crisis? Why raise questions about Britain's role when support in Britain is already so thin? Now, there are always voices that say don't raise the difficult questions, but it is essential for Europe and for Britain that we do, because there are three major challenges confronting us today. First, the problems in the Eurozone are driving fundamental change in Europe. Second, there is a crisis of European competitiveness as other nations across the world soar ahead. And third, there is a gap between the EU and its citizens, which has grown dramatically in recent years, and which represents a lack of democratic accountability and consent that is, yes, felt particularly acutely here in Britain. Now, if we don't address these challenges, the danger is that Europe will fail and the British people will drift towards the exit. I do not want that to happen. I want the European Union to be a success, and I want a relationship between Britain and the European Union that keeps us in it. That is why I'm here today, to acknowledge the nature of the challenges we face and to set out how I believe the European Union should respond to them, and to explain what I want to achieve for Britain and its place within the European Union. So let me start with the nature of the challenges we face. First, the Eurozone. Now, the future shape of Europe is being forged. There are some serious questions that will define the future of the European Union and the future of every country within it. The Union is changing to help fix the currency, and that has profound implications for all of us, whether we're in the single currency or not. Now, Britain is not in the single currency, and we're not going to be. But we all need the Eurozone to have the right governance and structures to secure a successful currency for the long term. And those of us outside the Eurozone also need certain safeguards to ensure that, for example, our access to the single market is not in any way compromised. And it is right that we begin to discuss those issues now. Second, while there are some countries within the EU that are doing pretty well, taken as a whole, Europe's share of world output is projected to fall by almost a third in the next 2 decades. This is the competitiveness challenge, and much of our weakness in meeting it is frankly self-inflicted. Complex rules which restrict our labour markets are not some naturally occurring phenomenon, just as excessive regulation is not some external plague that's been visited on our businesses. These problems have been around for too long, and progress in dealing with them has been far too slow. As Chancellor Merkel has said, if Europe today accounts for just over 7% of the world's population and produces 25% of global GDP, it is currently financing 50% of global social spending. And then it's obvious that it will have to work very, very hard to maintain its prosperity and its way of life. Third, there is the growing frustration that the EU is seen as something that is done to people rather than acting on their behalf. And this, frankly, is being intensified by the very solutions that are required to resolve the economic problems. People are increasingly frustrated that decisions taken further and further away from them mean their living standards are slashed through enforced austerity, or their taxes are used to bail out governments on the other side of the continent. We are starting to see this in the demonstrations on the streets of Athens, Madrid, and Rome. We're starting to see it in the parliaments of Berlin, Helsinki, and The Hague. And yes, of course, we're seeing this frustration with the EU very dramatically here in the United Kingdom. Europe's leaders have a duty to hear these concerns. Indeed, we have a duty to act on them, and not just to fix the problems in the Eurozone. For just as in any emergency, you should plan for the aftermath, as well as dealing with the present crisis, so too in the midst of present challenges, we should plan for the future and what the world will look like when the difficulties in the Eurozone have been overcome. Now, the biggest danger to the European Union comes not from those who advocate change, but from those who denounce new thinking as heresy. In its long history, Europe has experience of heretics who turned out to have a point. And my point is this: more of the same will not secure a long-term future for the Eurozone. More of the same will not see the European Union keeping pace with the new powerhouse economies. More of the same will not bring the European Union closer to its citizens. More of the same will just produce more of the same. Less competitiveness, less growth, fewer jobs. And that will make our countries not stronger, but weaker. That is why we need fundamental, far-reaching change. So let me set out my vision for a new European Union fit for the 21st century. It is built on 5 principles, and the first is competitiveness. At the core of the European Union must be, as it is now, the single market. Britain is at the heart of that single market and must remain so. But when the single market remains incomplete in services, in energy, in digital, the very sectors that are actually the engines of the modern economy, it is only half the success that it could be. It is nonsense that people shopping online in some parts of Europe are unable to access the best deals simply because of where they live. So I want completing the single market to be our driving mission. I want us to be at the forefront also of the transformative trade deals with the US, Japan, India, as part of the drive towards global free trade. And I want us to be pushing to exempt Europe's smallest entrepreneurial companies from more EU directives. These should be the officials. These should be the tasks that get European officials up in the morning and keep them working late into the night. And so we urgently need to address the sclerotic, ineffective decision-making that is holding us back. That means creating a leaner, less bureaucratic union, relentlessly focused on helping its member countries to compete. In the global race,
ang UK, okay, mga recorded itong balita, mga okay, no? Storya ng kanilang bayan. Okay, babalik tayo, mag-post muna, no? Ayan.
Ang administration ng balita ay tumatalakay sa may subang kasalukuyan at nakapanahon. Mapapolitika, mapapinion, mapakomentaryo at balita ang programa ito'y patas sa lahat. Walang tinihilingan, walang tinatangkihan, at walang tinapamigan ang programa ito. Ang programa ito ay public service sa kahanginan at trabaho lamang.
Okay, ito tayo, no? Okay, bumagsak ang peso. And then the stock naman ay tumaas po mga suki, no? Okay, tumaas sa level o ng 6,300 volume. Level po mga suki, no? Okay, ito ang basahin natin ng balita ito mga kababayan. Okay, dito tayo nabubuhay eh. Okay. Sa paghanap buhay po rito sa platform ito. Okay, ang picture 1,000 peso, no? Kung meron ka 1,000 peso, 1,000 pesos ilagay mo sa investment mga suki, no? Ang ugali pala ng Hudyo, no? Ang ugali ng mga Jews ay yung mga tao yan, no? Okay, kung kumita ng $10 a day, okay, i-separate ang kalahati and then ang $1 ay ibinigay sa charity, no? Yung ganun po ang estilo nila, no? Okay, yung 3 peso, yung $3, $10 lang kita nila, no? Ay lagay sa investment, no? Ayan, and then ang 1, 3, 4, okay, ilagay nila ang 1 sa charity, de $4 na, no? And then ang 1 yun ata ang panggastos nila po mga suki, no? So, ganun po ang practice po ng mga tao, Hudyo mga kababayan, yung Jews. Ayan po, no? Kaya mayaman sila. Wala silang, okay, kunti ang mahirap sa kanila dahil sa ugali po nila, okay, sa sistema, okay, ng kanilang buhay mga suki, no? Okay, ang hinahanap ko saan pumunta yung $5. Okay, yun po. Kumita ng $10, greenback, ang 1 peso ilagay sa charity, ang 3 ay ilagay sa investment, and then ang isa, kasi $5, i-separate nila, no? Okay. Ilagay sa investment, no? Okay, ang $1, palagay ko ikain nila, no? Okay, ang sa tingin ko yung $5 ilagay nila sa saving. Okay, so ganun po kaugalian nila mga suki, no? Okay, ang oras natin, okay, 32 minuto, okay, pasado alas 7 mga suki, no? So, basahin po natin ang hanap buhay ito. Okay, peso dip, pero kumita po, tumaas po ang sa stocks naman mga suki, no? Okay. Hapon ito, no? So, kaya tutukan ng mata natin ng malabo, kailangan malapit ang mata ko para makita ko yung babasahin ko, no? Okay, the stock market returned to the 6,300 level. Okay, but the peso weakened slightly at the start of a shortened trading week. Ayan po mga suki, no? Okay, the currency dipped by 2 centavos, okay, to 55.40 against the dollar. Okay, where the benchmark Philippine Stock Exchange Index, PSCI, added 40.07 point or 0.64%. Okay, hindi 54, no, 64%. To end the day at 6,309.57. It was the Philippine Stock Exchange Index highest close in nearly 2 months, no? Okay, so maganda po pag bilihan ng stock mga suki, no? Okay, maganda pag bilihan ng stock ng ganon. Ayan. Ayan. Okay, the broader or share index also advanced, increasing by 0.031% or equivalent, okay, to 10.48 points to 3,358.70 level mga suki, no? Okay, the peso open trading at a 55.435 versus greenback, no? Equivalent to $1. And range from a 55.4, okay, to 55.52 volume reach, okay, 1.243 billion pesos, up from the 1.189 billion in the previous session. Pesos yun, no? Pesos. Ayan. Okay, Michael Ricaport, Chief Economist of the Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation said, factors that had weighted on the currency were lower. Okay, treasury bill auction, yields, and a stronger greenback. Mataas ang dolyar mga suki, no? Ayan. Ayan. Lumakas ang dolyar. First time, Financial Incorporated Research Associate, Claire RBR, meanwhile, said the bounce closed higher due to the easing of oil prices amid a continued truce between Israel and the militant group Hamas. No, yan ang dahilan. Okay, ang dahilan po diyan po, kaguluhan po diyan sa Middle East, no? Okay, kasi magkaroon ng truce. Okay, magkaroon po ng tiwala ang mamumuhunan po sa mga foreign direct investment, no? Okay, kasi kung okay, maganda ang situation maganda rin ang market mga suki, no? Okay, maganda ang ekonomiya. So yan po ang kadahilan gusto natin ma-stop yung bakbakan po diyan sa Middle East mga suki, mga kababayan, kasi makadisturbo po sa hanap buhay po ng taong bayan, no? Ayan, nakadisturbo. Ayan. Okay, sana ko. Ayan. Okay, yung kapayapaan po ng truce, yun pong dahilan. Coupled with the potential cut in oil supply by OPEC Plus. Okay, lower oil prices could boost the country's growth. Okay, she explained particularly the final quarter of the year, no? Okay, the net foreign buying worth of a 657.7 million also helped lift the stock market in Tuesday kahapon session, RBR said. Okay, US stock and lower Asian market mix. Okay, steady to start on, and then the street. Okay, anong balita the street mga suki, no? Okay, so yan po ang kasaysayan po ng Philippine stock index, exchange index, at saka itong kasama po ang US mga suki, no? Ayan. Okay, they resulted in a net market value, okay, turnover of a 5.27 billion pesos, exceeding the 5.0 billion mark. Okay, for the first time this month, Regina Capital Development Corporation Managing Director Luis Limlingan meanwhile said, okay, the Philippine Stock Exchange Index was trying to challenge, okay, the 6,400 level as a trader geared up, okay, for the end of the month, despite the overall market gain, okay, the industrial and services indices well, no? Anong tumubo? Okay, industrial and services indices fell by 1.32% and equivalent to 0.01% respectively. Ayan po, no? Property led gainers, okay, with a 3.36% rise, no? Yung mga rate at ang kumita, ito yung mga property. Okay, yung lahat po sector ng property ang kumita, no? Okay, so decliner outnumber advance 106 against 79, okay, while 39 were unchanged. Hindi nagbago po ang 39, no? So ang decliner advancer 106 against 79, where 39 were unchanged mga suki, no? O tingnan nyo yung ang inyong broker po. Okay, sa security kung green ay magbenta kayo. Okay, tingnan ang kita. Pag red, ibig sabihin logi mga kababayan, no? Okay, hindi ko pa nakita sa akin. Ay munting hanap buhay po natin, no? Okay, mamaya i-open ko. So, yan po ang kasaysayan po ng buhay natin po. Okay, sa hanap buhay. Okay, stock market mga kababayan, no? Okay, anong oras na? Okay, wala na akong oras. Meron pa sana mga balita. Pilitin na lang natin tapusin, no? Kasi overtime na ito. Ayan. Ang Senado po, Senate approves 5.7 trillion national budget for 2024. Ayon po kay Senate President Migs Wiri, mga kababayan. No? So basahin na lang natin ito. Okay, saka tayo mag-close ng programa. Okay, sa umagang ito, mga kababayan. No? Okay. Ayan. Ganito lang mga balita ba? Maiksi lang, no? Hindi na mahaba. Okay, nakita ba niyo yung sa mga Malaysian kay Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim? Kay click lang ang mga press release nila, no? Okay, very short lang. Itong si President Joe Biden, may click lang po ang mga balita nila, no? Kasi nakukuha naman doon sa kanilang sinasabi po sa live recorded video, mga suki, no? Okay, bakit ka pa magpahaba ng istorya? Okay, mag-ikot-ikot lang. Pwede naman i-direct, mga suki, no? Okay, hindi na uso katulad ng mga unang panahon. Okay, yung mga dekadas, 60s, 70s, napakahaba ng istorya ng news, no? Okay, hindi na uso yon. Concise na lang po ang pagbalita, no? Okay, dapat i-practice natin ang balita po ay very short. Okay, very concise lang. Yung maintindihan mo lang, ibabalita po mga suki, no? Katulad dito, maikli lang. Hindi na parang ihi ng kalabaw. Ayan. Ang istorya tapos paulit-ulit lang. Okay, Manila, Philippines, the Senate on Tuesday approved the third and final reading. Okay, the 5.7 trillion proposed with national budget for the fiscal year 2024 with 21 voting in the affirmative, okay, no negative votes, no? And one abstention. House Bill number HBN 8980. So yan po ang budget natin sa 2024, which contain the national budget for the next years was approved by Senator following the House of Representatives and Senate approval of the 2024 budget. A bicameral conference committee is expected to begin shortly. The committee will collaborate and come up with a reconciled version of the national allocation for next year. Once reconciled, the bill will be returned to both chambers of Congress for ratification. Okay, the ratified version will be transmitted to the office of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. for his signing na. For his signing, committing, to their goal of passing the bill containing the 5.7 billion budget on time. Senate President Juan Miguel Mix Subiri previously said the national budget may be up for Marcos signing by the first or second week of December 2023. Senate Sani Angara, chairperson of the Chamber's Committee on Finance and sponsor of the 2024 General Appropriation Bill, enumerated the amendment introduced by his fellow senators. He, however, made zero mention Abay, confidential fund. Nako, controversial pa rin ng controversial ano itong confidential fund na. Which became the controversial during the budget deliberation in both chamber of Congress. Ayan po. Okay. Related story. Okay. Stories do we rebound to pass 2024 proposed national budget by the first week of December. Senate get a House version of a 2024 budget. So iniwanan po ang confidential fund po mga kababayan. Paano na yan? Ayan. Okay, ayon po sa balita natin ay continue po usapang kapayapaan, no? Okay, saka itong meron na continue po ang usapang kapayapaan between ng mga rebel. Okay, lumalaban sa pamahalaan itong mga CCP-NP mga group mga kababayan, no? NDF. Sa Oslo ata ang usapan mga suki, no? So wag na natin muna pangunahan, magantay tayo ng kung ano kahinatnan po yung usapang kapayapaan. And then nagsabi po si Tatay Digong sa mga grupo ni former President Duterte, oppose siya pagbuwag po ng LCAC mga kababayan, no? Yung LCAC, okay, yung panahon niya, sinulong niya mga kababayan. And NTF LCAC ba yun? Ayan po mga suki. So oppose siya pagbuwag po niyan kung buwagin po ang NTF LCAC mga suki, no? Okay, so yan mga letters po ay nakuha natin balita po mga suki, mga kababayan, no? Okay, tapos ng balita and then ito na po para sa inyo. Ayan.
Awesome! 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 Awesome!
Okay, ang pinakamabigat ngayon po sa Senado, yung pagpasa ng resolution po tungkol sa ICC, no? Okay, yan po ang malaking issue po sa kasalukuyan mga suki, no? Okay, so ma-prosper kaya yan? Ano sa tingin niyo mga suki, no? Okay, ma-prosper ang ICC po ay basehan po pag pin down ng former president po ay yung former president po Rodrigo Roa Duterte, no? Si Tatay Digong. Okay. So, ima-monitor natin ng husto yan, no? Okay, para sa akin, dapat po ay safe ang Pangulong former President Rodrigo Duterte, no? Okay. So, yan po ang pinaka-controversial ngayon, no? Okay, pinaka-mabigat na issue. Okay, itong ICC papasok sa atin, no? Okay, maging malaking debate, malaking bangayan yan mga suki, no? Sa national politics. Okay. Okay, ang atin lang bilang taga-pagbalita, okay, isipin po natin ang kabutihan natin, no? Okay. Yung stable, okay, political spectrum ng bansa natin, no? Kasi kung magkaguluman tayo, okay, tayo rin ng talo po mga suki, no? So, yan lang, okay, bantay tayo dyan. Lalo na po ang programa ko ay bantay po mga suki, no? Tungkol sa ICC. Ayan. Kung maipit pong Tatay Digong ay kawawa naman, no? Okay. Kawawa siya. Okay. Matanda na. Okay. Talagang marami po ay kakampi po ni Tatay Digong, no? Ayan. So, yan po ang balita natin sa umagang ito, no? Okay, dapat pag-isipan po ng okay, mga politiko, okay, sa bayan natin, no? Lalo na po sa Kongreso, dalawang house, okay, lower house at saka itong upper house mga suki, no? Ayan. Pag-isipan mo po.
Ang programa ito'y patas sa lahat. Walang tinihilingan, walang tinatampihan, at walang tinapamigan ang programa ito. Ang programa ito ay public service sa kahanginan at trabaho lamang.